never have I actually thought Trump was my daddy. And Kamala is not our mommy. Now, I realize Drew Barrymore has an effed up mom who put her into the spotlight at this young age and let her do drugs and drink when she was, I think, in the single digits, or like 12 at the oldest. That's a sickness, right? She's platformed these people. She leaned and awoke. Now she wants to get away with on Bill Maher. If you've changed, then own that. Own how you've changed, how you've seen the error of your ways. You won't be kneeling down to the transgender cult anymore. And I'll listen to you. A lot of people have evolutions. I will listen to you. Right now, I think you're just saying what you think you need to say to be popular with Bill Maher's audience.
All right, let's talk about this absolute train wreck of an interview because, honestly, I don't know whether to laugh, cringe, or pour myself a double whiskey just to get through it. Drew Barrymore, yes, the same Drew Barrymore who once literally got on her knees in front of Dylan Mulvaney, sat down with Bill Maher recently. And let me tell you, this was not the redemption arc she thought it was going to be. Now, before we even break down what went wrong, can we just pause for a second and talk about Drew Barrymore? Because here's the thing, she's not just another celebrity. She's Hollywood royalty, a child star who's been in the spotlight literally since she could walk. But with that spotlight came chaos. This is someone who was pushed into fame at an insanely young age, reportedly drinking and doing drugs when she was basically still in single digits. That kind of childhood messes you up, period. And now, decades later, she's still floating through Hollywood like a lost balloon at a kid's birthday party, untethered, directionless, always trying to figure out what the crowd wants her to be. And this interview with Bill Maher was supposed to be her big candid moment. The problem is, candid doesn't work when you don't even know who you really are. What we got instead was a masterclass in awkwardness, hypocrisy, and Hollywood doublespeak. And then Megyn Kelly swoops in. Megyn Kelly didn't just critique Drew Barrymore, she obliterated her. I mean, she took a scalpel to Barrymore's carefully polished image and sliced it open for the world to see. And honestly, it was brutal, but it was also fair. So, here's the setup. Drew sits across from Bill Maher, nodding along while he talks about free speech. Bill makes the point that under Trump, you could actually speak your mind, but under Biden, it felt like walking through a minefield barefoot. One wrong word and boom, career gone, friendships gone, reputation gone. And whether you like Bill Maher or not, you can't really deny.
He had on Drew Barrymore, this is again on the podcast, and listen to what she said in SAW 28.
You have a lot of bravado about what you think is the truth or not, but it's just so refreshing. Like, you were doing this before it was so dangerous.
Still dangerous.
And it is just way too dangerous now, but you're still doing it.
It's slightly less dangerous than it was 2 years ago because we did have a vibe change, and because the Democrats lost so badly in 2024, the blush is off the rose on left-wing censorship and, oh my God, you can't say that. Stop telling me what I can do, what I can say, what I can think, who my heroes are supposed to be. Just get.
But here's where Drew Barrymore steps in and completely fumbles the ball. She leans in, wide-eyed, and says, "Oh, it's still too dangerous to speak your real opinions." And I had to stop and ask myself, Drew, dangerous for who exactly? Because let's not forget, this is the same woman who happily platformed Kamala Harris and gushed over Dylan Mulvaney as if they were the saviors of humanity.
So he's saying what he's always said, to his credit. He's been very consistent. But there you have Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore talking about how it's still too dangerous to speak out with your real opinions. So what are her real opinions? Because just like Jimmy Kimmel and Sarah Silverman, she's been fueling the fire of wokeism for years. Who could forget how she humiliated herself next to fake, quote unquote, woman, meaning a man, Dylan Mulvaney, who came on her show and was treated like Jesus.
Where was all this concern about free speech when people were getting silenced left and right under Democrat rule? Back then, Drew was perfectly happy to sip the woke Kool-Aid. She didn't just drink it, she bathed in it. So Megyn Kelly calls it out, and she does it in the way only Megyn Kelly can, razor sharp, with no mercy. She basically says, look, Drew, if you've had a change of heart, then own it. Say it out loud. Admit that you were wrong. Admit that you bent the knee to the transgender cult and you regret it. Admit that you're not going to keep fueling the fire of woke insanity. People would actually respect that. But instead, Drew does the Hollywood shuffle. She says whatever she thinks will make her sound good in the moment, especially in front of Bill Maher's audience, which is probably the last crowd on earth that wants to hear more woke nonsense.
Oh my God, that's so much wrong with that clip. It's stomach turning. She's like, leftists need to learn the number one lesson of being happy in life. Do not lean into your problems. Don't lean into crazy. Everyone's had crazy in their lives. The successful, sane ones do not obsess over it, do not want to relive it over and over, do not want to talk about it night and day on their show, do not talk about things like the ground feels safe to me, and they certainly do not literally bend the knee to the cult of transgenderism, Drew, and then talk about how, gee, it feels so dangerous. It's so dangerous, still too dangerous to say how you really feel. About what? What is it? Do you have a reversal on that issue?
Here's where it gets interesting, because Megyn raises a question that's worth really thinking about. Maybe Drew Barrymore...
Here's where it gets interesting, because Megyn raises a question that's worth really thinking about. Maybe Drew Barrymore actually has changed. Maybe she does have doubts about all the woke talking points she's been parroting. But she's too terrified to say it because, let's be real, the woke mob doesn't forgive. If you stray even an inch from the script, you're done. It's not like normal politics, where people debate and move on. No, in woke culture, if you slip up, they will cancel you, drag you, and make sure you never work again. So maybe Drew does see the cracks in the ideology. Maybe she does regret kneeling to Dylan Mulvaney on national TV, but instead of saying it, she hides behind vague, it's dangerous language. And that right there is the problem. That's the sickness. Because if you know the truth but you're too afraid to say it, you're complicit. And Drew Barrymore is absolutely complicit. She platformed Kamala Harris. She literally called her Mamala. Like, come on. It doesn't get more cringe than that.
Take a risk. You're in a safe space with Bill. Maybe he should have gotten her down on the floor, and she would have said how she really felt. You continuously vote for the party and the people who push that bullshit on us. You, madam, are complicit. You hosted Kamala Harris, who says, we all need to be woke. We need to be woke because we just do. That's your person who you actually had on your program and wanted us to call Mama.
Politicians aren't our parents, and they sure as hell aren't supposed to be our mommy or daddy. The whole Trump is daddy, Kamala is mommy nonsense is just embarrassing. Politicians aren't there to hold our hands. They're supposed to lead, defend freedoms, create opportunities, and keep the country strong. We don't need babysitters, we need leaders. But Drew doesn't see it that way. She plays into the fantasy. And you know why? Because she's still that Hollywood child star, conditioned to perform, conditioned to say whatever keeps the audience clapping. It's not authenticity, it's survival. And that's what makes this whole thing so sad.
When we lift each other up, we all rise with the mouth quivering, just like the hideous to Dylan. Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Oh my God, she's too far gone. This is what happens when you become a Hollywood actress as a child. You lose your id. You don't know who you are. You're just floating. You're like the Martian the astronaut disconnected from the spaceship. You're just adrift in space, untethered. You don't know who you are. Where do you find the strength to keep being the...
Let's not forget, this is the same Drew Barrymore who got down on her knees in front of Dylan Mulvaney. She literally bent the knee to woke ideology on live TV, and now she's suddenly talking about how dangerous it is to express opinions. Dangerous to whom, Drew? Because you sure weren't worried when the mob was silencing conservatives. You weren't worried when entire careers were being destroyed back then. You were perfectly fine cheerleading for the cause. The only reason you're suddenly nervous now is because the tide has turned. Americans are over it. People are mocking woke culture, pushing back against it, and you can feel the shift. That's why Drew is panicking. It's not dangerous anymore to speak the truth. It's dangerous to keep clinging to the woke narrative when everyone else is waking up.